Hello, welcome to Jet Mathematics. I remain your host, Milton Ebiwari John. Today, we'll be solving for the sum and product of roots of a quadratic equation. In this video, we'll establish a general formula for it, and then in our next video we'll apply it to solve simple problems. So quickly, let's get that done. Sum and product of roots of a quadratic equation. Now remember that our general quadratic equation is ax squared plus bx plus c equals to 0. So this is the general form of a quadratic equation. Next, let's assume that the roots of this equation are alpha and beta. So suppose the roots of this equation are alpha and beta. Then we can say that s is equals to alpha or s is equal to beta. So this, we're assuming that these are the roots of this quadratic equation. So from here we know this implies that s minus alpha s minus beta are the linear factors, the product of the linear factors that gave us this root equals to what? 0. Okay, the product of the linear factors that gave us these roots. So with this we can expand and get a general equation. So how do we obtain s minus alpha? When you take alpha this way, become s minus alpha. When you take beta this way, become s minus beta. The product of these two is equals to 0. That gives us the root of the quadratic equation. So we can go further from here, expanding x times x. So we use x to open up this bracket, x minus beta. We also use minus alpha to open up this bracket, so we have x minus beta, or equals to 0. So s times s gives me s squared, s times minus beta gives me minus beta x, minus alpha times s gives me minus alpha x, and minus alpha times minus alpha gives me plus alpha beta, all equal to 0. So solving here, we have s squared minus beta plus alpha x. When you factor out x here, you have x, then we have alpha plus beta when you factor out the minus sign, so that when you expand this, it becomes minus beta x minus alpha x. Then here we have alpha beta is equals to 0. Remember, at this point we factorized minus x out, okay? So we're left here with beta plus alpha. So this becomes the general form of the quadratic equation, whose roots are alpha and beta. But now let's look at something very important. We can rearrange this and say s squared minus alpha plus beta x plus alpha beta equals to 0. Okay, so with this equation we can find a quadratic equation whose roots are given. With this equation here, we can find a quadratic equation whose roots are given. We can also establish this is s squared minus this is sum of roots x plus product of roots equals to 0. Okay, so with this expression we can find a quadratic equation, like I said, whose roots are given. We can also establish some very important relations from this equation. Let's call this equation 2. Let's call this equation 1. Now from equation 1, when we divide through by a, when we divide through by a, when we divide through by a, remember this is equation 1. When we divide through the expression by a, we have s squared plus b over ax plus c over a equals to 0. Now when we compare this relation with equation 2, when we compare this with equation 2, comparing coefficients, you discover that minus alpha plus beta, which is the coefficient of x here, minus alpha plus beta, which is the coefficient of x here, is equal to the coefficient of x here, which is b over a. b over a. But now we can multiply through by what? By minus sign, so we have alpha plus beta equals to minus b over a. This is a very important relation. So from a quadratic equation, from a given quadratic equation, we can get the sum of its root using this. Also, comparing the constant term, alpha beta is equivalent. Comparing the constant term, alpha beta is equal to c over a. This also another important relation. So we use this to get the sum of roots and product of roots when we are given a quadratic equation. Why we use this to get a quadratic equation when the roots are given? So you have to put these relations in your mind. In our next video, we'll be finding a quadratic equation whose roots are given. And in our subsequent video, we'll be getting the sum and product of roots when given a quadratic equation. Please don't forget to like, share, and comment on this video.